A to point B over here. By doing that, as you can see, 91.6 would have been an 8-to-1 trade, whereas actually we are just a little bit lower than that. So it's more like a sighting tool than it is to, but this is what it worked out as. One of my students helped me work this out. We sat there with a calculator and moved the lines around and added more to it, took things away, and so this is kind of what we calculated out. This is the closest thing. It's not quite accurate. I guess if you do maybe once in a blue moon as we do this, it will be accurate. But this is, like I say, it's a sighting tool, and that's what these percentages broke out to be. Questions? Please, if you don't understand this, let's go over it now. This is a good time to go over it. And if I don't have any more questions on this, we'll go open forum, so I'll open it up for any questions you guys have. I'd like to iron this one out first, because usually everybody says, yeah, that they got this, and then the next session or two, they go, can you go over price averaging again? Can you go over price averaging again? So that's why you want to kind of get it so you guys understand it while we're here. Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm looking for. Can you please do the calculation one more time? You got it. Oh, that's very good. Somebody just plugged in that maybe mention margin requirements for price averaging, because margin requirements are very important. That's why I try to get everybody to trade 1% of their account at a time. If you're staying at 1% or below, you can do almost anything in price averaging. So a good example would be if I have 1,000% or greater on my price average, on my margin percentage, and so 1,000% or greater. If I do an 8-to-1 trade, if I have a $2,500 account and I'm doing a 0.25 trade, when I go in there at the 0.25 trade, I'm going to have 1,000, maybe 1,002, 200% or something like that. When I go ahead and put the 8-to-1 trade in, it's going to drop me down to about 200% or less. It's going to probably put me about a 189%. That's really close, and that's another reason we have to make sure that we're going to be going in the right direction, because if this is not done and going into the right direction, it's going to take us out of our trade. We'll get a margin call on that trade. So the more margin we have, the higher the margin percentage is. We're going to be a lot better when we're going to do price averaging, get out of our trades. Thank you for mentioning that.
Once you write grandpa on there, and then take it to the box.
Yeah, I understand. It does take practice, guys. That's why I want to kind of iron out as much as your questions as we have tonight. It's I have somebody that says I understand it and I can mathematically calculate it, but it will require some practice. And what I highly recommend is get into a test account, okay? And once you guys get into the test account, put a buy trade and a sell trade in at the same time, okay? Let one of them go bad and let the other one be good, and then when the good one's there, close it out, and then now you've got the bad one to deal with. Make sure you do this in a test account. On that bad trade, try to price average yourself out, so that way at least you guys can practice this and get used to it. The calculation one more time, okay? The first place where I start On the calculation is I'm going to take the price where we are now, which is right here, 1.09455. Okay, I've decided I'm going to do an 8-to-1 trade, which is right here, 91.6 in my purple line. So I'm going to take this price right here and multiply it times 8, because I'm doing an 8-to-1 trade. Okay, so now we have our 8-to-1 trade. To that trade, I'm going to add in this price right down here, the 1.05350, which is my original entry point on the trade, minus 10 pips more. So that's where we want to add this in. This is going to give us push, so this trade comes out profitable. That's why, you guys, we're adding, actually, in this case, we're subtracting 10 more pips out of this because we're going down. If we were going up and 11 pips, actually, we're going to subtract 11 pips out of this, because 10 pips down here and one more pip when we put this line in up here. So that's going to give us the push, so we come out with a profitable trade instead of being upside down in this trade. So once I've taken this, I've multiplied this times 8, I've added this field to it. Adding this field to it, then I'm going to divide by 9, because I have an 8-to-1 trade plus my one bad trade down here, so I'm going to divide that total by 9. Once I divide that total by 9, it's going to give me, the total right here would be 1.08998 off of this calculation. The reason we ended up here at 8988 is because I subtracted one more pip for that little bit more push to come out of this transaction. So as you can see, this gives us our take profit side right here. So once we've done the calculation, when we enter our trade here at this line, we're going to put a take profit of this guy here into this trade right here, and we're going to modify this trade down here to this take profit right here. And they will both close once the candlesticks cross this purple line. Both trades will close. If you subtract your positive trade, you subtract your negative trade from your positive trade, you're going to find out that you still have a positive trade. It's not going to be a lot, but actually it's going to be positive. You didn't lose any money, and now you're out of a bad trade. You don't have this trade hanging over your head anymore. Usually when I go ahead, and the question is, which charts do you use to determine when to price average out of a bad trade? I'll be very honest with you. I usually use the daily or the 240. If the daily chart, if I'm in where I have to do a price average going up, if my daily chart is at the bottom and going up, then I'm definitely going to take an up trade, because I know I'm going to have, on a daily, I'm going to have enough movement going up to get me out of this bad trade. Also on a 240 can be used for that too. 120 could be a little iffy as long as the 120 holds, because sometimes, you can get stuff coming at you on your 1, 5, 15, 30, and 60-minute charts that are going to change the direction, and then your 120 chart changes and it's against you. That's not good. So we want to usually, when I price average, it's more like I'll go off the daily or the 240 chart. Okay, what method do you use to determine whether you are doing 8-to-1, 4-to-1? The method I use to determine that is how fast do I want out of my trade. Am I willing to hang into my trade until I can cross the 4-to-1 trade? Then I'll do a 4-to-1. And usually if I'm in a bad trade, my trade's gone pretty bad, because I usually let them run for a little while, and usually when mine are pretty bad, I want out of them as soon as possible. So if I've got enough margin in my account, let's say I have a $100,000 account, and I want to do an 8-to-1 price average, it's going to be, depending on what my lot size was when I got into that, it's going to put a pretty good sized dent in that account. Well, same thing with a small account. These trades are, but I want to be out of my trade as soon as possible. So that gives me the decision of whether I want to do an 8-to-1 trade, 4-to-1 trade. If you have a really strong signal and you don't want to put a lot at risk and you want to do a 4-to-1 trade here, what I would do is make sure that the indicators, see right here, we're taking a bounce and this is kind of coming up. So as this was going down, if we crossed that purple line, we'd be out of it. Right now, if we had taken the trade here and we're riding this guy out, we would not have executed yet. So with this turning around, now we're going to have this trade going back up on us. It's going to start giving back some of this of what it gained right here. Let's see. What method do you use to determine whether you are? Oh, I already answered that one. Sorry, didn't get it back. Right here. I have. And you wait until you are upside down at least 20 pips before you price average. Yeah, way more. Actually, I usually when I do my price averaging, because I wait, I procrastinate a little bit. I'm usually about 80 pips somewhere. Some people have a little lower threshold of pain, so I wouldn't even try price averaging at 20 pips. Usually I'll throw a hedge in at 20 pips. Anywhere I can throw a hedge in, like if I see that it's going bad really quick, I'll throw a hedge in at 5 pips, 10 pips, 15 or 20 pips. I don't like hedging outside of that because that's getting too far away from my original trade. As the hedge rolls up and then that stuff starts to roll over and I see the market's turning down, then I might be 60 pips, 70 pips, 80 pips upside down. That's when I'm going to want a price average. If I'm anywhere within 40 pips, I don't even consider a price average. I'll just wait and see if the market's going to turn around and get me out of this trade. If it continues to get bad and it goes into the next day, then I'm going to want to consider a price average if I can to get out of that trade. That's basically how I do it. Good questions, guys. These are really good questions. I got you guys. I'm glad you guys got rolling on this. Okay. See, what do you click for? Oh, I see. Okay. The question is, what do I click for setting up my TC2 example? So we'll go ahead and we'll bring it up again. So right here, I go to Tools, and I go to Tool Configs. Okay. And I go over here to Price Retracement Config, and I left click it. Okay. Here is my price averaging Fibonacci. So when I go to Options, it's right here next to Levels. So Options, I left click on Options, and it brings up this guy right here. What I have here is I have Show Percent, Show Price, Show Points, and Extend Right are the ones I really want to check. And the reason I have these checked, oh, this is not working. What happened? Oh, it is working. I'm looking over here on my numbers. Let me move this over. Okay, so this is working. So as you can see, show price. So my price is right here. This is the show price, 1.09455. Okay, right here is, this is how many pips I'm away from my original price here. So here's our 0, so I'm not anything here at this line, but up here, I'm 411 pips away from this original price. So the market really went up on this right here. So that's what shows here. So show points is how many pips were away from the price. And then here's the percentage to show percent. So let's do that bucket right there. So you have price, points, and percent. You're very welcome. Okay, any more questions? There we go. Just popped in. Yes, the question is, it seems that your Fib tool has done a lot of the math work already, and that's why I designed it. I put it in here at these angles and stuff like that. Yes, because it does a lot of the math. I don't have to calculate, and it gets me a sighting tool. Like I say, 1-to-1 trade, 2-to-1 trade, 4-to-1 trade, 8-to-1 trade. So it was really good building this Fib kind of that way, and it helps with the price averaging. The reason we want to do the true math is so we come out positive. If you put the trade in at the 91.6, you'll probably have a negative trade because we had to go actually this little bit more travel. So instead of having that negative trade, I'd rather be accurate, run it through the calculation, make sure I'm in the right spot, put my line where it needs to be, and then go ahead and go with that guy as my take profit. I hate to have a losing trade, so I want to have a winning trade. That's why I do this. I'm anal. Any more questions?